Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video I'd like to discuss how another of the Brexiteers' arguments has been turned completely on its head as a result of the realities of leaving the EU. Namely, in this case, that it will mean far more bureaucracy and far more bureaucrats to enforce. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So let's go back to the referendum, a time when Brexiteers said that of course we'd be staying in the single market. It'd be madness to leave, and of course we'll be getting access to all of the EU systems that we enjoy right now, and how the great imperative for leaving the EU was really just to abandon all that tiresome bureaucracy. I mean to say, I'm sick to the back teeth of all that EU bureaucracy I'm wasting my time on, like or even because that's the thing. Ask anyone for an example of EU bureaucracy that is bothering them, and well, they can't really name any. They just assume that other people are bothered by it. Of course, bureaucracy is a thing, and EU bureaucracy is a thing. Of course it is. But the point is that it isn't actually a burden on our lives, but it is about to become so. As a result of our Brexit, the government announced earlier this year that we're going to have to recruit some 50,000 extra people to deal with border checks. Of course, we were no idea why we weren't doing it sooner. In fact, why have we waited this long? So an article in the Financial Times this week drew attention to a reality to this that is both harsh and amusing at the same time. And you can tell what the Financial Times, which, remember, bats for the wealth of the country, big business owners, things like that. And you can tell what they think about Brexit, and even if you hadn't read previous articles, by their use of the following headline. UK steps up plans to train 50,000 form fillers for post-Brexit trade. Not that there's any chance of recruiting and training this 50,000 that we need by the end of the year. In fact, last week when Michael Gove was asked in Parliament how many we'd already recruited, he was not able to put a figure on it at all. He wasn't even able to speak confidently in the hundreds or thousands. But if we did, let's say we did manage to recruit all that lot somehow, there's nowhere to put them because we haven't been building any infrastructure, we haven't been expanding it, whether it be expanding to existing ports or building new facilities where they hadn't previously been needed. And these form fillers will be filling in forms to show that they've checked the forms that others will have had to have filled in as well. Importers, exporters, hauliers, people who currently have minimal paperwork to deal with, and paperwork that they also understand how to deal with in order to move goods between the UK and what was other EU nations and now will simply be EU nations, are now going to have to carry out much more bureaucracy themselves. And in fact, some of these people are going to have to carry out bureaucracy in order to move goods from one part of the UK to another part of the UK if it's going over the Irish Sea. And to give you a clue as to how much extra bureaucracy is going to be needed, the Financial Times cunningly pointed out that these 50,000 new form fillers, which we don't yet have, is greater than all of the bureaucrats in the whole of the EU Commission. Now let that sink in. We need more bureaucrats to deal with Brexit for just our little island nation, which is not that little as islands go, granted, but for our single nation, than the entire EU needs for over 24 different nations, which used to include the UK as well. Now ask yourself, why would that be? It might be understood you'd need some more bureaucrats to compensate for the fact that we won't be using EU bureaucrats anymore. But why would we need more bureaucrats for the UK alone than the EU needed for the UK plus everyone else? You know, why would that be? And the answer can only be because the bureaucracy that we are going to inflict upon others is way, way, way less efficient than EU bureaucracy. That is literally the only explanation. And then once you've bounced that question and solution around in your head for a bit, you may then ask another question, a longer question potentially. So if Brexit was about staying in the single market but not following EU rules, but now we're not staying in the single market, if it was about saving money, but is now going to cost us way more money, if it was about controlling our borders when we were literally the only country in Europe that didn't tighten our borders during this coronavirus pandemic, if it was about reducing bureaucracy when it's actually going to massively increase bureaucracy. What the bloody hell was Brexit all about? And what does it still represent now, honestly? And don't give me that sovereignty and making our own laws crap, because in the past few months, Brexiteers have loudly and viciously attacked our parliament more savagely than they ever did the EU, and are now attacking the laws that the UK government is using to deal with the coronavirus pandemic. So they've attacked the British Parliament and they've attacked British laws. Don't give me all this crap. It was never about doing any good for the country, only ever doing whatever they bloody well pleased. These people don't hate the EU, they just hate laws. Any laws, doesn't matter where those laws come from. And they will attack anyone who tells them how to behave, whether it be the EU or even an isolated UK. So anyway, there it is. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. Until next time, I'll see you later.